Cool. So I'm going to get into it. I'm going to give a brief background on kind of API Nation, the syncs we're going to talk about, and then we're going to hop right into Realtor.com first, and then do Zillow, and then if we have some time, we'll do some Q&A, and then we'll hop into listing the leads, possibly Facebook if we have some time after that. But yeah, let me give you a little bit of background. So this is the KW Command sign-in. But I'm going to show you API Nation. So API Nation, if you're not familiar, it's a tool that a lot of agents and brokers, admins use to connect their apps. So when we talk to agents, when we talk to brokers, when we talk to a lot of entrepreneurs, we found that most of you were using about 30 to 40 apps every day, opening them, closing them, putting a little data in, wishing that that data that you put into the one app was in all the other apps. And that's kind of what we decided to do, is make that wish come true. So you connect all those apps together, all the apps you're using every day, the ones you open and close, and then you just put data in one app. That app tells all the other apps, spreads the word about this new lead, this new transaction, this new deal. That way you don't have to go in there and copy, paste, import, export, do all that stuff. So that's kind of what we're doing here. If you go to apination.com, you can click Start Syncing, see a bunch of different apps you can sync. As KW agents, it's actually, you kind of have like a curated selection of syncs that are most applicable to you guys. So if you go into the KW marketplace, let me actually show you how to get there from the command, KW command. So once you log into command, there is a little icon up here in the top right. It looks like a little shop. There it is. That's the marketplace. So you're going to click that. It's going to take you out to the KW marketplace where a bunch of different products live that can make your life a lot easier, including syncs from API Nation. So you can see we even have a little banner here, improve your speed to lead. These are the stuff you can sync along with a bunch of others. So if you're looking for something to sync, let's say you're going for Zillow, just type it in there and you'll see, no, we can sync that. We can sync KW command to Zillow leads. Maybe you're thinking about like, iCloud. I got a bunch of contacts in iCloud I want to sync. You can do that too. So if you just want to see all the syncs, we actually have our own category. So you can just click that, see all the API Nation stuff. For example, that goes with KW command or .loop or DocuSign rooms and so on. So cool. Yeah, anything to add about this stuff so far?
Yeah, no, great overview there and highlighting of how to access that. That's probably the most commonly asked question is, where do I find all y'all's syncs?
Yeah. The other thing is we've noticed in the marketplace, so you can even see on this page, contacts, it says $0 a month, iCloud says $0 a month. That is, it shows up that way, but what that really means is that the first 30 days are free. So I already have purchased, so it's already $10 a month. But if you see that $0 a month, and if you click through, it's going to say the first 30 days is $0 a month. After that, it's going to be about $10 a month. So that's just a heads up for that. Another question we get often is, I am a team leader. I'm a rainmaker. I'm trying to set up these connections. How do I do that? Is that different? It is different. And there's going to be special tiles in here for team accounts and rainmaker accounts in the coming weeks. So if you are, if this is something you like, I just want to do it for my entire team through one account, that will be launched in the next few weeks. You'll all get a huge email because that is such a huge feature improvement. That'll let you guys know they're here, you can do it, and those are ready to go. So just a heads up about that.
Yeah, we do have a question here too as well, Gabe. Once you pay the $10, does it continuously sync?
Yeah, that is a great question. So it absolutely does. Yeah, we have these set up so that KW sends information as it's updated, as things are added into KW command, it sends it out to its connected apps. And then the connected apps, depending on which one you connect, Google Contacts, iCloud, if you're adding stuff into those apps and it's coming back, many of those, it comes back instantaneously. If it's not instantaneously, it's on about a 10-minute schedule. It's just batching them over every 10 minutes or so. But there's no button to push. You don't have to come back in here and say, I got to do my daily sync. There's nothing like that. these are things you set up, and then you just, like the old rotisserie, you just set it and forget it, and then you just see all the leads come through. So cool. Great question. Will there be a sync for realtor.ca? This has come up a couple times, and I'm curious. I'm going to show you how to set up realtor.com. We don't have a realtor CA account, and we as people who aren't in Canada, we can't get one, so we can't test it. But we would love to talk to you about what that looks like, and also maybe discover if the realtor.com accounts work for realtor.ca. Maybe it's just a slightly different domain and outward facing thing, but behind it, it's the exact same stuff. So yeah, Ryan, I'll reach out to you afterwards, and if we could hop on and kind of test it and see if maybe these things already work for CA. Great question. Cool. All right. Let me show you what it looks like to kind of set up one of these syncs or grab one of these syncs from the marketplace. So if you do come in here and you're thinking, all right, this sounds great, I want to start syncing, you're just going to grab it, hit buy now. You're going to go through the process, buy now. It's just going to ask you for your payment information. Once you purchase it, I'm going to just change it to a profile that has it. Once you purchase it, it's going to live in My Apps. So you can see here are all the apps I've purchased in the past. And if you want to set up any of them, once you purchase them, this is where you would come to do it. So you would actually buy it. The tile now goes into My Apps, and then you'll just come in here. And for example, if I'm setting it up with Google Contacts, I would just click the tile to actually set it up. So that is important. If you purchase it from the marketplace, it does not automatically turn on. So you will have to go into My Apps, click the tile, and then go through a couple steps to configure it and turn it on. Cool. And then, so we're going to do Zillow and realtor.com. So I'm actually going to see about purchasing that real quick and kind of show you. Realtor. Let's start with realtor.com. And the nice thing about this sync is that the connection, the mapping, where stuff goes is pretty flexible. So you can have things from realtor.com tagged as specifically realtor.com, or you can have it tagged with your URL for the realtor.com page is coming from, or any of that stuff. So that's kind of nice, and it allows you more control, more kind of granular strategy about how you're handling these leads as they're coming in, versus just having, bam, a lead dumped in there. And you're just like, okay, cool. Where'd this guy come from? What am I supposed to do with him? And all that stuff. So we're gonna purchase this guy. There we go. So that's what it's gonna look like. This button, set up your sync, that is hugely important. Don't forget to do that. That's gonna take you through that kind of process to get that set up. So you can see, there it is. There's the tile we now have. Cool. So then you're actually going to just go through the process of setting up your sync. So you're going to hit this button to connect. Oh, let me back up 1 second, because this is kind of important. This is kind of key for a few people. When you click this tile, a couple things happen in the background that you don't see, that I want you to let you know about, because they could help you kind of understand what's going on. When you click it, it takes you out to API Nation. We all saw that. But also, it creates your API Nation account using your KW email. So if you ever need to come in and access your API Nation syncs, you can come through here and just click any tile that you've used, and it'll get you in there. Or you can go straight to API Nation and log in with your KW email to see the syncs that you have there. So that's kind of cool. I just want to let you know when you set this up, that is what your API Nation account is based on, your KW email address. So once you do that, you can see we've connected KW command. You have an account. We're now just going to connect realtor.com. So I would just click this, and it's going to ask you for a label. The label can be anything. This is mostly just to set it apart from any other realtor.com syncs you're setting up. So for example, if you're the admin and you're setting up syncs for like 12 agents in your office, you're probably going to want to name each one after the agent, so you can tell whose is whose and what's going on. If it's you and you're just doing this for yourself, you can call this whatever you want. I usually just name it after me, Gabe, so that I know. I already have one. Makes sense. I'm going to hit create connection. Cool. And now there's a few instructions here to get this set up. This is very important so that we can get these leads across correctly. So you can click here to see the instructions, and it's just going to walk you through how to set it up. You're going to log into realtor.com, go to the dashboard, click on the profile, go to settings, go to lead settings, go to connections plus, and go to add lead delivery. This is all in the article that is linked right here. It takes 60 seconds or less. And you're just going to drop this API key into that page as the API key and the application login name. So this article will walk you through it. Like I said, you'll be able to do this. I've walked through it with a few people, and they've all been able to knock it out in about less than a minute. Once you do that, it's going to have a button to test the connection. You'll click it on the realtor.com side. You'll click it on this side, and then you'll get the green light that says, all right, cool, you're all set. And then you have a connection. And then it's just going to pass you on to the next step where you're setting up your sync. So you can choose, do you want to set everybody who comes through here as a lead, or do you want to set them as a contact? If they happen to already exist in KW Command, do you want us to overwrite that information? Or should we just fill in the blank fields? And then if you come down here, it's saying, all right, we're syncing realtor.com to KW Command. Just to double check, are you using any other products to sync these two things? It's just pretty uncommon. We haven't had too many people have this going on. But just to double check, you just check that button. And then you're ready to go. You can hit continue, and it's going to create those syncs.
We have a good question right here, Gabe. What if you don't want to use your KW email?
That is a good question. How does that work? Do you just sign up at apination.com and then, I think it has to be because it has to come through the marketplace, right?
Right. When you come through marketplace, we're actually going to automatically use your KW email to create your account. That's how this was created up here. So that's going to leverage that. If you don't want to do that, the only other alternative would be to go directly to apination.com and create an account. But I would encourage you to actually go through the marketplace versus doing it on our dashboard, because it's just ease of access. It's going to pair pretty equally in there, so that when you, like Gabe was showing, when you click on that configuration, it takes you directly to your dashboard versus having to bounce in and out of two dashboards and two different logins. So
yeah, and then just, another thing to note, once you make that, we've had a number of people who have current accounts, and they'll try and sign up. So they'll log in with their, maybe their Gmail account, their current API Nation account, and then they'll click on, let's make a KW Command sync. It takes them back out to the marketplace. They buy the sync, it bounces them back. That then creates a second account with your KW email. So just a heads up about that. When you come from the marketplace, it's always going to set it up under an account with your KW email. Just a good thing to know. Cool. And then this is the last thing I want to show you. With these syncs, this is kind of the key. As with all the Realtor or all the API Nation syncs, there's some great options. There's this filter here, which is more relevant in other syncs, like contact syncs to your phone or contact syncs to an email newsletter app. So I would think as when you're getting leads from realtor.com, you don't really want to filter anybody out specifically. But this is kind of the more interesting thing. This is the mapping, and this is going to offer you a bunch of different stuff from realtor.com. So names, emails, phone numbers, last names, a ton of different stuff. And we actually just added a bunch of stuff, which maybe shows up. Yeah. So just a ton of information offered from realtor.com from that lead that you can sync into KW Command. I'm going to switch to the original mapping because then it just lists everything. But if I was you, I'll stick with the updated mapping because it's a little more powerful. But it is kind of a nice way to kind of list out everything. So the message from the lead, the role, the time, the type, all the stuff from the page where they came in, the kind of properties they were looking at. So what you can do with something like this is if you have fields that you want to drop it in, you can absolutely do that. But you can also just drop it in the description. So for example, let me go back to the original. I can come down here to description. There it is. And I can say, all right, well, I want to know how many beds they're looking for. So I'm going to put that in there. I'm going to put a little label on there so I remember what that number is. And then I want to know how many, what price are they looking for? So I'm going to grab that. And so on. So you can just keep adding these things in, put a little label on them, add the information, and then you get like a really rich, really useful lead instead of just kind of a blind lead that you have to call and find out what's going on. You can also tag them. You can add just a general tag by typing something in like realtor.com. Or if you have something more advanced set up, you could use any of the fields as a tag if you really wanted to. So like the zip code, number of baths, any of this stuff. So cool. Any questions about this sync?
One thing I'll point out here, Gabe, too, is that with our new mapping that we just released, we try and pre-fill as many of these values as possible. So you'll have noticed that, Gabe, you didn't have to actually input like the first name, the last name. Our system automatically tries to aggregate that data into the correct fields, only leaving you having to do kind of some of the other legwork as far as, if you want to add any additional information aside from the most commonly used ones that we see in our mapping, which are pre-filled for you. So it kind of takes a little bit of that headache of you having to go and fill every single one of these fields out each and every time. We have that pre-filled mapping that's going to show up for you automatically.
Yeah, no, that's super nice. Yeah, there's some integrations I've set up for other apps, and you have to like name the field, find the field, name the field in the other app, and it's just it's a whole hullabaloo. But yeah, cool. So that's the realtor.com sync. Let's move on to one last thing I wanted to mention about this. This is strictly for that Connections Plus product in realtor.com. So if you are doing something like OpCity, which I think maybe they're moving away from, I did see some stuff about that. But if you're doing something like OpCity or something else, those leads, those will not sync through here into KW Command. This is strictly for that one plan, the Connections Plus. So, and if you don't subscribe to Connections Plus and you go to set up this sync, there will not be that option for lead access API or lead delivery API. So if you don't see that, then you can just know automatically. Actually, I'm not currently subscribed. So you can subscribe and then set up the leads, or you can do something else.
Yeah, can you go back to the mapping screen or to our dashboard real fast? I want to point something out here at the top. So yeah. So here on the naming convention, it's not super important, but if you just want to be able to recognize this when you go into the My Syncs tab, some of you might actually be setting up multiple configurations because you do start using kind of the filter. Maybe you want to have different leads, have different hashtags and so forth based off their price range and all that other good jazz. If you're more of an advanced setup user, you'll just want to make sure that you name that workflow appropriately so that you can easily identify it when you're in our My Syncs page.
Yeah, no, that's a great point. For sure. Sweet. Cool. Let's go to Zillow.com. So if you wanted to do Zillow, you're going to go through the same process. Go to My Apps, or I'm sorry, go to Apps and search for it, and then purchase it, and then go through the kind of the launch process. Let me show you that. Actually, Ernest, do you want to do it on your side? Because I know you have a Zillow account, so you can actually go through the whole process if you want. And this would be in, it looks like you're muted there.
Do you want to show another one while I get set up on that real fast?
Yeah, for sure.
It looks like we had a request for like command iPhone. I don't know if that's one that you can set up or not, or.
Yeah. Let me show you. Actually, let me show you command and listing the leads, because that one's kind of growing bigger and bigger. So listing the leads is another lead generating app. And we have a bunch of users who use it, who ask us about it. If you don't use it, I'm just going to quickly show it to you. If you sign up for it, that's great. It's it's not our deal. We don't get anything back from it, but just we do have a lot of people who ask us about some of the stuff that syncs and some of the stuff other realtors are using. So basically, listing the leads is pretty straightforward. It's kind of like a mini CRM, but it's also kind of set up so that you do exactly what it sounds like. You add a listing, it generates a bunch of content based on that listing. It generates some social posts. It generates flyers. It generates some emails, a bunch of stuff, just all based on that listing you add. And then you can use that to get more listings. And it just kind of snowballs that way. You can also use it to create landing pages. And that's kind of where we come in. So you'll set up these landing pages through listing to leads. People fill out their information, and then they go right into your listing to leads kind of mini CRM. But what most KW agents want is, I don't want to come in here and like manage all this stuff. I just want to hop into command every day and do it in there. See these leads come in, and be able to set them on a smart plan and start doing it there. So that's what the sync for listing to leads is about. So you can come in here, go to listing to leads. It's going to look pretty similar setting up to realtor.com. You're going to go through it, buy it, set it up. Again, you can kind of do a sync for buyers and a sync for sellers if you want, because listing to leads does kind of separate those people out based on where they signed up, what landing page. Yeah, just buy it, set it up. It's going to take you to that My Apps again, very important. It's going to make it real quick. Give it a second. If you see this, sometimes it's just the system is just taking a second. You can just refresh the page. There it is. Cool. So I'm going to hit it. It's going to take me out to API Nation, sign me in, create my account, and then I'm just going to connect my listing to leads account. I'll show you kind of what this looks like. So yeah, you can send all the leads who come through listing to leads into KW command. That's kind of how it's set up right now. If you want it to be a little bit more, like I said, a little bit more discussion about how they're coming in, you could do buyer, and then you could set up a separate sync for seller. I'll actually show you how to do that right now, because Ernest made a great point with the naming of that. So let's say I'm like, yeah, I want this. I want buyer. I'm going to do it. Hit continue. It's going to create the sync. This is great. All my buyer leads from this app are coming into command. The mapping looks good. And then maybe I want to come down here to tags, and maybe I want to tag it as any tags I had from listing leads, but I also want to tag it as comma LTL buyer, listing to leads buyer. That way I know. So I could do that. And then I would activate the sync, or actually first I would rename it like Ernest suggested. I'd say, these are my buyer listing leads. Then I activate the sync. And then kind of nice, I would just go ahead and clone this. And if you clone a sync, if you have multiple syncs running, it doesn't change the price at all. You can clone this like 1,000 times and it's not going to change the price. It's still just going to be that flat $10 a month. I would rename this seller, come down to contact type, change it to seller, come down to tags, or whatever other information I wanted to kind of change this to LTL seller. And that way I can treat these two leads separately, kind of differently. So then I'll just activate that sync. Yeah. And that's kind of listing the leads. Like I said, this is kind of an example of one where it's on a schedule. So every 15 minutes, it's going to go ahead and send any new leads from listing the leads down to KW. If you aren't getting that many leads, maybe you just kind of want them to come in at a specific time, you can dial this down to, every hour or so if you want, or I think you can dial it up to as often as every 5 minutes if you think leads are coming in pretty quick, fast and furious. But in general, we usually use it at about 15 minutes. We find that works pretty well. Yep. Cool. So we usually get some questions about, other apps that people are using and syncing to get leads in there. So I just kind of wanted to show you that. Check it out if you want. Like I said, they're a totally different company, but we do hear a lot of agents using them. So cool. Q&A. If the tag does not exist, will it be created in command? That's an awesome question. It will. Yeah. So for example, you saw I created that one that said LTL buyer or LTL seller. It will go ahead and make that tag in command. The tag doesn't have to already exist in command for it to come across from the app. Yep. Cool. Any other questions about that? Sweet. One last thing I wanted to highlight before we jump over to Ernest. We have Realtor.com, we have Zillow, we have Listing to Leads. There's a bunch of other apps that you can sync, like I showed you. We also have a Facebook sync. KW Command has a great tool for advertising on Facebook. So if you're already using that, that's working for you, stick with it. It's always kind of like, if it's working for you, keep, push where there's mush, so. But if you somehow have a team or you yourself have kind of taken the reins and you are setting up your own Facebook ads and you're having to go to Facebook, download them, and then bring them into KW Command, just know that there is a Facebook sync available to do that for you. So if you are doing this all by yourself, you're setting up Facebook lead ads, and then you're going and grabbing them, just grab this thing. It's going to sync it in there automatically, which is going to save you a ton of time. It's cool. Ernest?
Yeah.
Take a Zillow.
So I will show you all how to connect Zillow. Gabe, probably need your help here. So I'll walk them through that, and then I'll pass you over the key to plug in on your end so you can show them from the marketplace. I don't know why I can't get into KW marketplace right now.
Yeah, mine was a little stuttery too. I don't know.
Yeah, so let me show you all how to access the place where you're going to basically plug in your API key. So when you come through KW Marketplace, it's going to prompt an integrations configuration similar to this one. And I'll have Gabe show this kind of through the KW Marketplace flow. But you'll give this, just like Gabe was showing you, you'll give this a name. So we can name this something like Ernest Zillow. And you'll go ahead and click on Create Connection. It's going to give you a unique connection ID that there is a clipboard copy button here. So you can go ahead and copy it to your clipboard. And then what you're going to do is just basically take it over to your Zillow Premier Agent profile. Once you're on here, you're going to click on your profile in the top right corner, and then you'll click on Settings. And inside of Settings, there's going to be this App Integrations option over here in the menu or in the Categories section. So you'll click on that. And then once you're in here, you're going to click on Link App. And then under Partners, you should see API Nation. You'll select it, you'll click Next, and then you'll select your login email address. And I believe this is for address login. So we'll put in our login email address here. And this actually might be my unique identifier where that goes.
Yep, so, exactly. Yeah. So it's the API connection. Let me get that for you real quick.
So there's that. So you'll plug that in and then it'll show active. So Gabe, let me send this over to you. I'll send you that. Or once
you stay there. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll stay here. And then I'll have Gabe walk you kind of play by play through what it looks like in KW Marketplace.
Yeah, let me work backwards from the KW Marketplace, and we'll get to this kind of setup thing.
Yeah, go ahead.
So similar thing to realtor.com. A lot of these, you know, once you get in kind of the habit of this, or once you do one of them, you're going to be an expert. So you're just going to search for it, Zillow. There it is. You're just going to purchase it, go through the steps to buy it. It'll live in my apps. Perfect. Then you'll just go through here, set it up. There it is. Click on it. Again, it's going to take you out to set it up. You're going to go ahead and hit the connect button. It's going to ask you for a name like Ernest just showed you. So we can call this Ernest's Zillow. And then create connection. And it says, all right, cool. Here's your connection ID. So I'm going to grab that. And then I would send that exactly where Ernest was. Yeah, I can pass it back to you if you want. And put that in the chat. There we go. Sweet. And then it just goes right into that one spot.
Yeah. So once you have that unique ID, you'll again go into your profile dropdown, click on settings, and then inside of settings, app integrations, you'll click on link app. You'll select API Nation as the partner, and then you'll paste that unique ID into here.
Yeah, it's a little deceptive that it says email address. That's what Zillow asked for. You want this ID. You don't put an email address in there. Your leads will not come through. You need the ID from API Nation. That way it comes through.
And then once that's done, Gabe, I'll pass it right back over to you. Sorry about the jumping back and forth here.
There we go. So once that's done, you did it. There's going to be this button. I've completed the setup on Zillow. Hit it. Cool. The work is done. Now we're just going to launch the sync. Again, do you want everybody who comes through here as a lead? Do you want them as a contact? Verify you're not using any other systems, so we don't have too many people trying to connect things to command at the same time. And then again, the mapping, all the stuff can come over, first name, email, phone number. If there's anything else you want to add, let's come down here to the description, because I believe there is message, type, the URL that they are submitting it through, and the date and time. So if any of that stuff can help you out as you market to them, make sure to include it where it's kind of relevant here. And then you activate. And then, yeah, like we said, always on, always rolling. Doesn't matter if you're in the office, doesn't matter if you're checking things. You don't have to go find these leads. You don't have to go download them as CSVs and put them in command. They'll just show up in command. And, you know, you can kind of tag them if you want to find them a little bit easier and put on a smart view so you can see them. But yeah, that's basically it. This is going to help you really achieve a much better speed to lead, because you don't have to go grab these leads. You don't have to be paying attention to a bunch of different logins and dashboards to see where all the leads are. You want to set up the sync so that they're all going into command, and you can just log into command, see what's new, see where it came from, and start, you know, following up with them in there. Cool. That's about it for us today. Any other questions?
Looks like we just have one here, having issues with a sync creating duplicate records in iPhone from command.
Okay, cool. I'll go reach out to you afterwards. I tried merge all, but phone isn't merging the records. Cool. Interesting. Yeah. Duplicate records in my iPhone from command.
Oh,
yeah, we'll have to.
That's a good one, Gabe. So you could actually probably display it on this one. It looks like they're going from Google Contacts to command. So if you click on settings right there for me, right here, and then scroll down to the mapping. So in the primary phone field here, you could actually click on this little gear icon right there. And what happens oftentimes with Google Contacts is it's not formatted in the correct formatting that you need to have it actually uploaded into maybe your CRM. So if you just select the format that it needs to be in, that should resolve your issue. So if it has to have the +1, you could select that format. If it doesn't have to have the +1, you would select one of the other formats. Hopefully that helps out there.
Yeah, this has been a pretty big international thing from what I've seen. They need that plus in there in order for it to show up. So
yeah, so if they don't have it, you could go ahead and add that formatting to it, and it should clear up your issue.
Sweet, great question, Patrick. Is Patrick our Polish friend?
Yeah,
might have been. Sweet,
from Poland.
Cool, guys. Well, that is about it. Next month, May, we're going to do this again. First Thursday in May, we're going to cover Google Sheets. Google Sheets is a really robust and powerful tool you can use with command to do a lot of different things. We've seen agents do some really interesting things with it. So I'll show you that and show you how to kind of set that up, and also show you how you can kind of create like a nice report dashboard of your KW command business in the Google Sheets. So cool. Hope to see you guys there. This was recorded. We're going to send it out on YouTube. So I'll be emailing you out the link if you want to, spread it to your friends. If you want to watch it again, watch your favorite parts over and over tonight, totally up to you. That'll be ready. So thanks, Ernest. It was great going through this. Thanks for all your help, and we'll see you guys next month.
Have a good day.